Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, June 5th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's an AL East rivalry between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. This one's going to be an early start time, 4 o'clock, 4:05 Eastern. We're going to see Shane McClanahan and Brian Bayo on the mound. Both pitchers are having great seasons thus far. McClanahan a 2.07 ERA, 8-1 record. Brian Bayo, who struggled at the beginning of his season but has really pitched well as of late, his last 5 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. Actually, his last 6 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer. He usually does a good job of keeping the ball on the ground. His ground ball to fly ball ratio in the month of May was 49-32. That's important when you're pitching at Fenway Park, a hitter-friendly ballpark, and facing a tough team like the Tampa Bay Rays. The Red Sox have been pretty competitive against left-handed pitchers in the last 30 days or so. When you look at their numbers and team OPS, they're in the top 10, ranked 834 team OPS, a low strikeout rate at 19.4%. We know McClanahan a very strikeout-dependent starter, and the Red Sox also a pretty high walk rate at 9.7%, 7th highest in the league during that span. So, McClanahan has been better at Tropicana Field than on the road. His ERA is above 3 on the road this season. I think there's some value here with Boston getting plus money currently. I'm going to take the Boston Red Sox on the money line at Fenway Park. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Joey Wentz and Aaron Nola are your starters. Now, as much as it may be tempting to take that plus money with the Tigers here with the lefty on the mound, I just can't get there with Joey Wentz. He's 1-5 with a 7.28 ERA. He's got even worse numbers on the road this year with an 8.47 ERA, giving up a lot of base hits, some sharp contact. His strikeout numbers are getting a little bit better as of late, but still, the Philadelphia Phillies, although their numbers in terms of OPS aren't great against lefties in the last 30 days, their power numbers are really starting to pick it up. They're now top 10 in baseball in isolated power against lefties in the last month. So I do think that they will be able to get to Joey Wentz, and he also doesn't really pitch too deep into ball games. His last 5 starts, 4 1/3, 4, 2, 2 2/3, and 5 2/3. So he doesn't really pitch deep into ball games. Tigers' bullpen's been okay, but I still think the Phillies have the advantage there. This is a spot where there's no excuses for Aaron Nola. He's back at Citizens Bank Ballpark. He's facing a Tigers team that's just not been very good against right-handed pitchers this year. In the last 30 days, when you look at their numbers, isolated power 27th, team OPS 23rd. Strikeout rate's not too bad, but 21.3%. It's right around league average. This is a spot where Aaron Nola has to go out there and perform at a high level. He struggled in his last couple of games against the Mets and Braves. Those were tough spots to be in on the road against division rivals that are very solid teams. But now you're facing the Tigers at home. I think he pitches well here. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Phillies on the run line at Citizens Bank Park. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins hosting the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Braxton Garrett going for Miami. No official starter for the Royals right now. Braxton Garrett's 4.22 ERA does not tell the full story. He had one awful start where he may or may not have been tipping his pitches against the Atlanta Braves. 11 earned runs and 4 home runs in that game. Then he followed that start with a not so great start against the Diamondbacks, 4 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. But other than those 2 outings, he has been unbelievable. All the rest of his starts, 2 earned runs or fewer, a good amount of strikeouts. He's had 54 strikeouts and 53 1/3 innings of work. And we saw his last start against the Padres, a pretty tough lineup to face as a left-handed pitcher this year. He went 5 1/3 innings, only 1 run, 7 strikeouts, and a 2-1 Marlins win. I like the Marlins to win this game. Their offense really had a great weekend against the Oakland A's. And we saw, Luis Arraez go 5 for 5 with 5 ribbies in one of those games. I think the Marlins, they play better at Lone Depot Park. I think they grab a win here and cover the run line as well. So give me the Miami Marlins laying the 1.5 runs. In our next game, it's the Oakland A's taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. J.P. Sears and Johan Oviedo are your projected starters for now, but there's no official lineup for this game, so we could see a pitching change. If this is the starting pitching matchup, I like the under in the first 5 innings. J.P. Sears has quietly put together some really good outings in his last few starts against the Braves, a very tough lineup to face as a lefty. He went 6 innings, 1 run, and although he only had 2 strikeouts in that game, he still gave the A's 6 quality innings, and they actually went on to win that game outright 2-1 the final score. Before that start, he went 5 innings, 1 run against the Mariners, 6 innings, 2 runs against the Astros, another tough team to face as a lefty. He struck out 7 in that one. Before that, against the Rangers, another good lineup against lefties. 5 1/3, only 2 runs allowed, 6 strikeouts. So he's really, been a lot sharper as of late than he was at the beginning of the year. Now you're facing a Pittsburgh Pirates lineup that hasn't been great against lefties in the last month. So I do think Sears can put together a decent outing here. On the other side, Johan Oviedo, I thought he's looked a lot better as of late. His last start, 4 1/3 innings. He had the 5 walks, but he had 5 strikeouts and only gave up 1 earned run in the end. He was pitching really well at the beginning of the season. Then he struggled towards the end of April, beginning of May. But in his last 4 outings, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 4 of those starts. I think he pitches well here against one of the worst lineups in baseball. So give me the under in the first 5 innings. Don't really trust the A's bullpen, so give me the under in the first 5. Next up, it's the Houston Astros taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Brandon Bielak and Alek Manoah are your projected starters. I'm going to take the over in this game. Alek Manoah, I still cannot trust him when he's pitching at Rogers Center. He has struggled mightily at home this season. He's got currently a 6.83 ERA in 27 2/3 innings of work with 24 walks, only 25 strikeouts. Opponent's batting average above 300. His last start at home, he only went 4 innings. He gave up 2 earned runs, a homer, 3 walks, only 2 strikeouts, and a 4-2 Blue Jays loss. The Blue Jays have lost a lot of his games this year, including the last 6. And you're facing an Astros team that at the beginning of the year was not hitting righties very well, but are certainly making some improvements. And Jose Altuve being back at the lineup certainly, is one of the big reasons for that. Brandon Bielak on the other side, not really my favorite option on the bump. He is a right-handed pitcher. The Blue Jays have hit righties well this season. His strikeout numbers have kind of been all over the place, but his control's also been a little bit shaky at times. He does give up some sharp contact. I do think the Blue Jays will be able to get to him. So give me the over here. Next up, it's the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Cincinnati Reds, which you see Julio Teheran going for Milwaukee. And I'm seeing 2 different starters listed on different websites. I see Luke Weaver on certain sites, but I do believe it's Andrew Abbott making his Major League debut in this game. And really, no matter the option for Cincinnati, I like their chances in this game. Julio Teheran's pitched well so far in his first 11 innings with Milwaukee. He's got a .82 ERA, but only 4.09 Ks per nine. Not really striking out a lot of guys. He currently has a 5.38 xFIP, and I do expect some regression in his game going forward, a 5.51 SIERA as well. At Great American Ballpark against a tough Reds lineup, I do expect Teheran to struggle. On the other side, if it's Weaver, he's got good strikeout stuff. The home run ball is a little bit concerning, but I think he'd be good enough. I'd rather honestly see Andrew Abbott make his Major League debut. A left-handed pitcher, we know the Brewers have really struggled against lefties. They are dead last in baseball in team OPS. They're 27th in isolated power, and they have the 4th highest strikeout rate against lefties in the last 30 days. Abbott is a strikeout pitcher. In Double-A Chattanooga, in 15 2/3 innings, he had 36 strikeouts. That's 20.7 Ks per nine. In Triple-A Louisville, he pitched pretty well, a 3.05 ERA, 38 1/3 innings of work, 12.7 Ks per nine. So 54 strikeouts. I think he's good enough here. Give me the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Texas Rangers. Adam Wainwright and Martin Perez are your starting pitchers. Adam Wainwright has struggled this year with a 6.15 ERA going into Globe Life Field, where the Rangers have just crushed right-handed pitchers at home this season. In the last month, that's definitely the case. Their BABIP's pretty high, so we may see some regression going forward. But right now, this Rangers lineup, they're number 2 in baseball in OPS against righties at home, number 3 in isolated power. The strikeout rate's a little bit steep, but they're getting the job done against righties, and Wainwright has struggled. He doesn't really miss a lot of bats. He gives up a lot of base hits, so I do expect the Rangers to get to him. But I do think the Cardinals will be able to put up a fight here offensively. Martin Perez has definitely been better at home this year than he has on the road, but most of his starts have been on the road. He's got a 1.93 ERA at home, but let's look at the teams that he faced. In his first start, the Philadelphia Phillies. We've mentioned the Phillies haven't been the best against lefties, and they have a pretty steep strikeout rate basically all year. The other start was against the New York Yankees. A tough lineup there. But then let's look at the lineup that the Yankees had at the time when they had a lot of injuries. It was Volpe, Peraza, Rizzo, LeMahieu, Willie Calhoun had an at-bat in that game, Gleyber Torres, Cabrera, Kiner Falefa, Higashioka, and Aaron Hicks. So no Judge, no Stanton, no Donaldson. It was a good spot for Perez, and he had a lot of offensive run support in that game early on. Then his next start against the Colorado Rockies. We've mentioned a lot of times the Rockies have struggled mightily against left-handed pitchers, and that was, away from Coors Field, so the Rockies naturally struggled in that game. Those are the 3 starts for Perez at home this season, so those numbers are a little bit misleading in terms of his sub-2 ERA. The Cardinals have been a much better lineup against lefties in the last 30 days. When you look at those numbers, isolated power, they're ranked top 10. Team OPS, they're ranked number 12. And their strikeout rate pretty low, their walk rate pretty high. I like their chances to get to Perez. Give me the over here in St. Louis, Texas. And the final game for Monday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the Chicago Cubs taking on the San Diego Padres. Kyle Hendricks and Blake Snell are your starting pitchers. Blake Snell has not fared too well at Petco Park this season. It's where most of his losses have occurred. His ERA is above 5 at Petco Park this year. And, I just don't know if we can trust his offense to back him up in this game. Kyle Hendricks pitched really well in his last start. He struggled in his first outing of the season, but his last game against a very good Tampa Bay Rays lineup, he went 5 innings, 1 run. He only had 3 strikeouts, but he's not really known as a strikeout guy, more of a pitch-to-contact guy. And that was a 2-1 Cubs win. You're facing a Padres team that has just not had good numbers against righties in the last month or so, pretty much overall this season as well. And in the last 30 days, they're 28th in baseball in team OPS. They're only 26th in isolated power. I think Hendricks is good enough here to keep this game close. The Cubs lineup hasn't been great against lefties in the last 30 days, but Blake Snell's control is kind of hit or miss. I do think, we could see him, like his last start, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, shutout baseball. We've seen that from time to time, but we've also seen the 4 innings, 6 runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, like he pitched against the Red Sox not too long ago. So I'm going to take a shot here with the Cubs on the run line plus the 1.5 runs to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.